This video is for educational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the channel, everyone. Here we go.
Scary facts you'll wish you never knew. Part 4. Bacteria lives in your belly button. Back in 2012, scientists found 1,400 new species of bacteria that live there. Just like fingerprints, each person has their own unique bacteria farm that separates them from other people. Some bacteria can even travel around. Scientists once tested a volunteer and found bacteria that could only be found in the soils of Japan. But the volunteer had never been to Japan. There's a strain of rust that could wipe out billions of people from the earth. It's called the UG99 stem and was found in Uganda back in 1999. And it destroys 100% of the wheat in a field that it's in. And because of how much wheat is produced on a massive scale, if this strain infects production sites like in Europe, India, or China, it would cause billions of people to either starve to death or die of sickness. Next, there's a toxin called botulinum toxin, and just 60 grams of this is enough to kill every single person that has ever lived. It's a common substance found in Botox injections, and just a teaspoon of it can kill every single person alive right now. And the CDC in Atlanta is a Pandora's box that is one mistake away from unleashing the deadliest sicknesses known to mankind. If there's ever a breach, years of medical advancements will become useless because of the hordes of deadly diseases that are studied there.
Facts that I wish
You'd think that CDC would have more protection.
I didn't know. When Gerardo Mendina turned 18 years old, his mom, Lena, was 23, meaning she had her son at just 5 years old, making her the youngest mother ever. Sudden adult death syndrome is the thing, where your heart just stops seemingly for no reason, like a cardiac arrest, except no cardiac arrest can be detected. So dementia is what they say when there's symptoms of a decline in thinking skills and memory loss, and Alzheimer's is the disease that can cause it. And signs that you might grow up and have this can be detected as early as 3 years old. Not just that though, the symptoms too. Alzheimer's and dementia in children exists, meaning that anybody at any age can completely lose their mind and become a husk of themselves.
Sudden adult death syndrome? Yeah, that's difficult, I know. Unfortunately, it can also be used for something else. Like, the recent event.
This picture is an example of a psychological phenomenon known as the uncanny valley. Most people, when they look at this image, are freaked out, and here's why. Our brains accept things that look human, but when there are slight differences, we become extremely uneasy, and this is known as the uncanny valley. A popular example of this is the movie The Polar Express, and this one definitely freaked me out as a kid. And it's because the characters look human, but not quite. Here's some more examples, but fair warning, they're definitely nightmare fuel.
Gruesome Facts You Didn't Know, Part 222. This is Zone Rogue, a 42,000-acre area of land in France that was isolated by the government following World War I. They deemed the area too damaged and too dangerous from lead, mercury, arsenic, and chlorine, as well as being saturated with human and animal remains, unexploded shells, grenades, and ammunition. This devastating photo, taken in 1945 by marine photographer Joe O'Donnell, shows a little boy waiting his turn to cremate his dead little brother. The boy bit his lip so hard that it bled and silently walked away after placing his brother in the fire. When traveling to Somalia, the U.S. State Department officially recommends that you draft a will and designate insurance beneficiaries. They also suggest that you designate a family member as a point of contact with hostage takers. On the evening of May 14, 1998, Frank Sinatra suffered a massive heart attack. The ambulance that was carrying him and his wife both made it to the hospital in record time. This was due to the nearly deserted streets, as everyone else was at home watching the finale of Seinfeld.
Curtain number 1 is correct.
When Manny Pacquiao has a fight, the streets are also so barren almost that, yeah, I can understand this.
Things humans were never meant to see.
Je pense que le professeur
By a real
ne
cannibal.
va pas venir aujourd'hui. Donc je retourne à la maison.
Can someone explain this, please? The scale of this marble quarry is so huge that it makes the excavator look like a tool. What bioluminescence looks like in the rain.
What the hell just happened in Illinois? Seemingly out of nowhere yesterday morning, a massive sinkhole opened right in the middle of this football field in Alton. It completely swallowed up a number of bleachers and one of the huge floodlights. Now luckily, at the time, there was no one on the pitch when this happened, otherwise this would be a very different piece of news. And although it looks like some freaking sign of the apocalypse, it's said to have been caused by a working underground mine that experienced a surface subsidence. Fortunately, no one in the mine was injured either.
If you see this in the ocean, get out fast. In 2016, an Australian fisherman saw this near his boat. At first, he thought it was some kind of alien creature, but he soon realized it was something even scarier. This is actually a swollen whale. When a whale passes away, it swells up, and eventually, so much gas builds up that the whale's body explodes. This sends whale guts everywhere. Whales can explode with so much force that they can injure or end human lives. As soon as he realized the danger he was in, the fisherman, Mark Watkins, sailed away. But this whale definitely looks like it's ready to pop.
This might be the most disturbing experiment that NASA has ever conducted. Morbid Facts, Part 87. In the 1960s, NASA was funding an experiment to try to teach humans how to communicate with dolphins. They hired a woman named Margaret Howe Levatt, whose only credentials were that she loved animals, perhaps a little too much. She stayed in a flooded home with a male dolphin named Peter and practically lived with him for 6 days out of the week. Peter was a sexually maturing male dolphin, so Margaret often had to satisfy him to calm him down. This led to the formation of an intense emotional bond that was abruptly ended once the experiment was shut down. A heartbroken Peter struggled mightily with the separation and became deeply depressed. One day, he decided to take one final breath before sinking down to the bottom of his tank and effectively ending his own life. Ever since then, this experiment has been regarded as extremely unethical and weird as shit.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A woman drove past a cemetery with her 3-year-old daughter. Now they would drive past it every day. 3-year-old would tell her mom that people in there were waving at her. This would go on for a while until they decided to stop driving past the cemetery forever. This is because the daughter mentioned that there was an old lady wanting her to come in there. An aunt asked her niece to draw her imaginary friend for her. And this is what she drew. A humanoid figure with about 10 legs and their head detached. A little girl was playing in the McDonald's playhouse by herself and alone. The mother took this picture of her in the tunnel. To their surprise, in the photo, they saw another child. But mind you, she was playing in there alone. When they asked their daughter who it was, she said, "That's my imaginary friend, Beto." A little boy told his dad he had an imaginary friend. He called him the Hanging Man and said he would visit him in his room every night, and even drew a picture of him for his dad. So the dad hid a camera in the child's room to see what he was talking about and caught this. Check this out.
Hey Eliza, do you remember the day you were born?
No, but I remember the earth split open and I crawled out of hell.
Do they have a return policy on children? Because I think she needs one. Speaking of birth, there is a 1 in 365 chance of you meeting someone with your exact birthday. Put your birthday down below to see if you can find your twin. Make sure to hit that follow button because part 2 is crazy.
My imaginary friend doesn't growl like that. How about yours?
breaking new research published yesterday has revealed that crows experience a much higher level of consciousness than we previously thought. A study into their brain revealed that crows experience primary consciousness, previously only observed in primates. We've always known crows were clever. They are excellent problem solvers, and creepily enough, research has shown that when a crow encounters a mean human, it will then teach other crows how to identify the human. Research has also shown that crows never forget a face, so remember that next time you're messing with one. The fact that crows, which last shared a common ancestor with primates 320 million years ago, are aware of themselves and their thoughts means we may have to completely rethink our understanding of consciousness and which animals experience it.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day. Part 1. The average person will spend 5 months of their life waiting for red lights to turn green. The FDA allows 1 rodent hair per 100 grams of peanut butter. So if you've eaten peanut butter, you've likely ingested at least a bit of rat hair. If you confess that you murdered someone to a priest, your secret is protected by Catholic law, meaning that you could admit to killing someone and then get away with it. The average person walks past 16 murderers in their lifetime. The reason that you can smell farts is because the poop particles are literally inside your nose. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom, so they sometimes randomly eat each other. And this is what a child's skull looks like before they lose their baby teeth.
Wait, the sky outside is fake?
When they launch this fake alien invasion, everybody gonna swear it's real. You know why? Because people don't know that the sky is CGI technology. I've been telling y'all this. That's not your real sky. See the sky behind me? That same sky up there. That motherfucker is not real. Alright? It's not real. I've been telling y'all that for a reason, because it's being controlled. There's 5 layers to it. It's CGI technology. They showed you this shit in that movie Kong when he threw the motherfucking spear at the motherfucking sun, nigga. Right? They showed it right to you, but before they showed it to you in Kong, for those of you who've been listening to me at university, y'all know from day one I've been telling y'all this. So if people not know that CGI technology, alright, once they get the change in the frequency of the sky, and they get the altering the layers of the sky to make it look like it's a war going on right there, that's not. Alright? They make it seem like it's these huge spaceships that's in the sky, that's not. And then they're gonna actually use actual spaceships that they do have from other extraterrestrial species like these insectoids and these greys and these other ones that they got, they in cahoots with. They gonna make this shit look real, y'all. Listen, this gonna be the biggest movie. Listen, this gonna be the biggest movie they never put out, nigga. This gonna be the biggest movie they ever put out. I'm saying movie for a reason, because shit ain't real, but it's gonna look real. Listen, you ain't better tell people that we ain't under UFO invasion.
He could be onto something. Stay weird.
These are the 5 scariest space facts. You've been warned.
How do we know it's not already happening?
If a massive asteroid was headed for the Earth, the chances are there isn't really much we could do. At any moment, the sun could emit a coronal mass ejection aimed at the Earth, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could destroy the entire world's energy grid and leave us without power for years. There are black holes lurking in the shadows, roaming throughout our galaxy, and if one entered our solar system, it would be all over. When a star runs out of fuel, it can emit a gamma ray burst, and if a star within 3,000 light years of Earth happened to emit a gamma ray burst and it was aimed at us, the ozone layer would be destroyed. Finally, every year there is more space junk created, putting us at risk of being trapped within the Earth.
Are you enjoying the show so far? Please do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe button. This will definitely help the channel grow. Enjoy the rest of the video.
This is the scary story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my God, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, And nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging. And completely mutating, also there is a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
Mommy told me something a little girl should know. It's all about the devil.
This is one of Spirit Halloween's creepiest props. This is Gruesome Granny from 2013, and she is easily in my top 10 props of all time. She's made by Techie Design, and they did a great job on her. Her head and hands have an awesome amount of detail, and the baby does too. And as you can see, she's pretty animated as well. She rocks back and forth while singing her baby to sleep. Her mouth moves, head turns, and her head lifts up and down. Almost everything about her to me is phenomenal. I just wish her clothing was more reflective of how long she's been dead. I mean, she's clearly been rotting for a very long time, yet her clothes are still mostly pristine. And as per usual for techie props, my favorite part about her is the audio. It is just so fucking awesome. She sings Rockabye Baby, and it's very creepy. There's a music box in the background, the baby's laughing and crying. It's just a really well-constructed soundtrack. And she does a good job at making people uncomfortable. Some people don't like this concept at all. I've seen a lot of sensitive people flip shit over this one. But I think she's weirdly wholesome. I mean, a grandmother's love transcending even death. I don't know, I think that's pretty fucking metal though. She retailed for $170 back in the day and is clearly another massive W for Techie.
Terrifying facts you never knew. If your immune system ever found out that you have eyeballs, you would go blind. Which means right now your immune system has no clue that you can see. Because if it did, they would attack your eyeballs until you can no longer ever see. This is because your eyeballs have a protein in them called crystalline that doesn't exist anywhere else in your body. So if your immune system found out and checked them out, it would be like, something's wrong here. Studies show that most serial killers are born in November. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my anxiety might be up there too. There's a disease called fatal familial insomnia, where people suddenly one day lose their ability to fall asleep, which leads them to slowly go insane. They can't distinguish dreams from reality anymore and go into some type of paranoia. It becomes so severe that they eventually die. Those that make it to the final stage and don't die usually end up in a vegetated state, no longer conscious. And it can happen to any one of you. About 3,000 people go missing every year in the United States. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977. This was in France. And also that was the same year the first Star Wars movie came out. You are always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. In 2011, Anatoly Yakovlevich was arrested for having 12 dolls in his apartment. Only problem is, they weren't normal dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that had been dug up and dressed to be put on display. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted this to 4chan. It said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It only took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch that he worked at, and he was fired. You really never know what people are doing to your food. H.H. Holmes was a serial killer who built a torture hotel in the 19th century. He had secret rooms with gas chambers, trap doors, and stairs that led to nowhere. He loved to play with his victims' minds. It was almost like a real-life Saw movie. There's a bridge in Scotland called the Overtoun Bridge, and for some reason, dogs keep jumping off of it at the same spot. Yeah, they just jump to their deaths. Experts can't figure out why either. Some people speculate it's a magnetic field or maybe a frequency that only they can hear, but others believe it's something supernatural. But whatever is making dogs jump off that bridge to their deaths is still to this day unexplained. Joe Matheny was an infamous serial killer who not only cooked his victims to eat for himself, but also made them into burgers using their remains. He then sold them to unsuspecting customers from a roadside food stand. We really never know what we eat. I'm cooking all my food myself. This is why I don't eat over people's house. In 2021, a new homeowner was shocked to find a boarded up wall. When he ripped the boards off the wall, he discovered a hole. In that hole was a doll clutching a note. The note saying that she killed a family who lived there in the 1960s. Be honest, would you move out? In 1978, there was a pilot named Frederick Valentin. Him and his plane disappeared in Australia. His last communication was, "Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering above me again." It is hovering and it is not an aircraft. This is a mugshot of William West and William West. Oh, and they're not related at all, but they were both sent to Leavenworth Prison at the exact same time in 1903. And after some confusion, the staff finally figured out they were two different people who had the exact same name and looked identical. This was said to be one of the main reasons why we now use fingerprints to identify somebody. There's biotech being developed as we speak that can make prisoners feel they are serving an 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. That's horrifying. Imagine thinking you spent 1,000 years somewhere, and then when you wake up and snap out of it, you realize that it was only a couple hours. Do you know how crazy that is? Anyways, like this video if you want a part 2.
That's it for today, everyone. Thank you all for showing up. We'll end the video with the next clip. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you around.